focus on yourself and watch everything fall into place. What if, right now, in this very moment, the reason your life feels stuck, scattered, and incomplete is not because of what happened to you, not because of who left you, not because of the opportunities that were denied to you, but simply because you have been looking in the wrong direction your entire life? What if every answer you have been searching for in other people, in social media, in comparisons, in the desperate need to be seen and approved and validated, what if all of it was already inside you, buried under years of noise and distraction and the exhausting performance of pretending to be someone the world would accept? What if I told you that the single most powerful decision you will ever make is not a financial decision, not a career decision, not a relationship decision, but the decision to stop managing everyone else's perception of you and start mastering yourself? What if the moment you turn your full attention inward, to your habits, your discipline, your thoughts, your energy, the world outside does not fall apart, but instead begins to fall into place? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not motivation. It is not inspiration that fades by tomorrow. It is a confrontation with the one person who has been both your greatest obstacle and your greatest untapped resource. That person is you. There is a war happening inside every human being. Not a war of swords or bullets, a war of attention. Every single day, from the moment you open your eyes, the world pulls at you from 1,000 directions. Your phone demands your reaction. Other people's opinions demand your response. The news demands your fear. Social media demands your performance. And in the middle of all this pulling, all this demanding, all this noise, somewhere, buried underneath it all, is your actual life, waiting quietly for you to show up. Most people never show up. They go to bed every night having given their best energy to everything and everyone except themselves. They are exhausted, not from building their dreams, but from managing a version of themselves designed for other people's comfort. And year after year, they wonder why nothing is changing. They wonder why they feel hollow despite being constantly busy. They wonder why success, when it comes, feels empty. The answer is not complicated. You cannot harvest from a field you never planted. You cannot build a house on a foundation you never laid. And you cannot live a life of meaning when the person living it has been assembled from other people's expectations. The first and most unforgiving truth is this: the war inside you is the only war that matters. Every battle you have ever picked outside of yourself, every argument, every competition, every desperate attempt to prove your worth to someone who was never really watching, every single one of those battles was a distraction from the one fight that determines everything: the fight with your own weakness, your own laziness, your own fear, your own smallness. When you stop fighting out there and start fighting in here, something seismic shifts, not because the world becomes easier, but because you become harder to defeat. Think about how much of your mental energy, your precious, irreplaceable mental energy, has been consumed by comparison. You see someone else's life and something inside you contracts, something inside you whispers, "Why not me?" And before you know it, you have spent 3 hours measuring your progress against someone whose journey you know almost nothing about. This is not ambition. This is poison. The moment you look at another person's path and use it to diminish your own is the moment you betray yourself. A river does not apologize for not being the ocean. A seed does not grieve because it is not yet a tree. Nature does not compare. It simply becomes. And the question is not whether they are ahead of you. The question is whether you are ahead of yesterday's version of yourself. That is the only race with a finish line that means anything. Now let me ask you something that most people are too afraid to ask themselves. When was the last time you sat in complete silence, no phone, no music, no voice in your ear, and simply listened? Not to the world, To yourself, most people cannot last 5 minutes in silence before they reach for a distraction, and that should alarm you. Because if you cannot be alone with your own mind, if the quiet makes you anxious, if stillness feels like a threat, then something has gone deeply wrong. You have become a stranger to yourself, and a person who does not know themselves cannot focus on themselves. They can only react, perform, and drift. Silence is where your power lives. In the space between the noise and the next distraction, there is a version of you that knows exactly what needs to be done, exactly who you are meant to be, exactly what needs to stop and what needs to begin. But you will never hear that voice if you are always running from it. And then there is discipline, the word that makes comfortable people uncomfortable. Here is what they will not tell you in every motivational video, in every self-help book, in every weekend seminar. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the only path to it. The person who cannot control their impulses is not free. They are a slave to every craving, every distraction, every moment of discomfort that demands to be numbed. The person who chooses the hard thing, who shows up even when they do not feel like it, who keeps promises to themselves even when no one is watching, that person is free in a way that the undisciplined mind can barely imagine. Because they are not controlled by circumstances. They are not controlled by moods. They are not controlled by the fear of what other people will think. They have mastered the only thing that can ever be truly mastered, the self. And from that mastery, everything else becomes possible. Your attention is not free. It is the most expensive currency you possess. Every thought you give to resentment costs you. Every hour you spend in jealousy costs you. Every conversation that drains you, but that you keep having because you do not want to seem rude, it costs you. You are not just losing time, you are losing momentum, you are losing the compounding power of focused energy applied consistently to the right things. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not more talented than you. In most cases, they are not even more intelligent. What they have is this: they have learned to guard their attention like it is the most precious resource they own. Because it is. When you stop leaking energy into everything that does not serve your growth, you will be shocked by how much you have left over. Shocked by how fast you move when there is no drag, shocked by how clear the path becomes when you stop looking sideways. But perhaps the most liberating shift, the one that changes the texture of your entire life, is the decision to stop needing permission. Stop needing validation. Stop waiting for someone to look at you and say, "Yes, you are enough. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you may proceed." That person is not coming, and even if they came, it would not be enough, because the hunger for external validation has no bottom. It will consume every achievement, every compliment, every success, and still demand more. The only validation that will sustain you is the kind you generate from the inside, the kind born from keeping your word to yourself, from doing the work even when it is invisible, from choosing your path not because it impressed anyone, but because it was true. When you no longer need the crowd to define you, the crowd loses all power over you. And in that freedom, you become capable of things that the approval-seeking version of you could never have imagined. This is the entire message, stripped down to its essence. You have been given one life, one mind, one body, one finite, irreplaceable allocation of time on this earth, and you have a choice. Every single morning, you have a choice about where that life is directed. You can spend it managing other people's impressions of you. You can spend it comparing, competing, performing, seeking, waiting, or you can turn the full force of your being inward. You can go to war with your own weakness. You can learn to sit in silence and actually know yourself. You can build the discipline that makes you dependable to yourself. You can guard your energy like the sacred resource it is. You can release the need for anyone's approval and walk your path with conviction. Do all of this, truly do all of this, and watch what happens. Not because the world becomes perfect, but because you become someone the world cannot ignore. Because when a person is genuinely focused on becoming their best self, something changes in how they carry themselves, in how they speak, in what they attract, in what they are willing to accept, and what they are willing to release. Everything begins to fall into place, not by magic, but by alignment. The alignment of who you are with how you live. Focus on yourself, not in selfishness, not in isolation, but in the deep, committed, patient understanding that the greatest gift you will ever give to this world is a version of you that has been refined, strengthened, and made whole from the inside out. The work begins now, not tomorrow, not when the conditions are right, not when someone gives you permission, now. Thank you, sincerely, deeply, for giving this your time and your attention. In a world designed to scatter you, the fact that you stayed, that you listened, that you were willing to be confronted by these truths, that already says something about who you are and what you are capable of. Do not let this be words that felt good in the moment and faded by morning. Let this be the moment something shifted. Let this be the day you decided to stop dividing yourself between 100 directions and come home to yourself. The path will not always be easy. There will be days when the noise wins, when comparison creeps back, when discipline breaks down. That is not failure, that is human. What matters is that you return, always return, to the silence, to the work, to yourself. Go build the life that has been waiting for you. You already have everything you need. Good luck. And know that the fact that you are even asking these questions means you are already closer than you think.